In the floating gardens of an ancient lake, where the last remnants of an Aztec empire once flourished, there exists a creature so extraordinary that it appears to have struck a bargain with time itself. While the world around it rushes toward maturity, toward the inevitable march of aging and decay, this remarkable being has chosen a different path entirely. It has decided, quite simply, never to grow up. The axolotl, Ambystoma mexicanum, its very name whispers of mythology, from the Nahuatl atl meaning water, and Xolotl, the Aztec god of lightning and death who, according to legend, transformed himself into this creature to avoid being sacrificed. How fitting, then, that this animal should embody its own form of immortality. Welcome to Animal Uncovered. I'm your host, and today we journey into one of nature's most profound mysteries, a life cycle so unusual, so utterly contrary to everything we understand about growth and development, that it challenges our very conception of what it means to mature, to age, to become complete. Part 1. The Peter Pan Paradox. Picture, if you will, a world where childhood never ends, where the playground of youth stretches not for years, but for an entire lifetime. This is the reality of the axolotl, a creature that has mastered perhaps the most enviable trait in all of nature, eternal youth. But this is not the superficial youth that humans chase with potions and procedures. This is neoteny, the retention of juvenile characteristics throughout adult life. The axolotl has taken this evolutionary strategy to its absolute extreme, becoming sexually mature while maintaining the body of a larva, the gills of a tadpole, the wonder of perpetual childhood. In the murky waters of their ancestral home, Lake Xochimilco, these creatures glide through their aquatic world with an otherworldly grace. Their external gills, 3 feathery plumes on each side of their head, wave like delicate coral fans, filtering oxygen from the water with the same efficiency they possessed as true juveniles. These gills, which in almost every other amphibian would be absorbed and replaced by lungs, here remain as permanent fixtures, a testament to nature's ability to pause, to hold a moment in time and make it eternal. The axolotl's skin remains permeable, thin and delicate, never developing the thick protective hide of terrestrial adult amphibians. Their limbs stay slender and graceful, never gaining the robust musculature needed for life on land. Their skull remains cartilaginous in places where bone should have formed, maintaining a juvenility that extends to their very skeleton. Yet within this perpetually youthful body, the reproductive organs mature fully. By 8 to 12 months, these eternal children are capable of creating new life, of passing on their extraordinary gift to the next generation. They court and mate while looking for all the world like the tadpoles they once were and in many ways still are. This is evolution's greatest magic trick, the ability to separate physical development from reproductive maturity, to cherry-pick the benefits of youth, while embracing the responsibilities of adulthood. The axolotl has found a way to have its cake and eat it too, to remain forever young while ensuring its species' continuation. Part 2. The Miracle of Regeneration. But if eternal youth were the axolotl's only extraordinary gift, it would already rank among nature's most remarkable creatures. Yet this aquatic marvel possesses another ability so profound, so seemingly impossible, that it reads like science fiction, the power of regeneration. When an axolotl loses a limb, whether to predation, accident, or the casual violence of nature, it does not simply heal. It does not form scar tissue or accept the loss with resignation. Instead, it embarks upon one of biology's most complex and miraculous processes. It grows the limb back, completely, perfectly, as if loss were merely a temporary inconvenience. Within days of losing a limb, specialized cells called blastomal cells begin to accumulate at the wound site. These are cells that have forgotten their specific identity. They are no longer definitively muscle or bone or skin. They have returned to a state of pure potential, ready to become whatever is needed. It is as if the axolotl's body maintains a reservoir of stem cells so versatile, so responsive, that they can rebuild anything that has been lost. Over the course of several weeks, these cells organize themselves with a precision that defies understanding. Bone forms where bone should be, muscle where muscle is needed, nerve where nerve must grow. Blood vessels thread through the developing tissue like rivers finding their course. The skin seals perfectly over the regenerated structure, and in the end, the new limb is indistinguishable from the original, perfect in form, perfect in function. But the axolotl's regenerative powers extend far beyond limbs. They can regrow portions of their tail, their spinal cord, even parts of their brain. This is regeneration on a scale that mammals can barely comprehend. While we humans pride ourselves on healing a simple cut, the axolotl can rebuild complex organs, restore lost neural pathways, resurrect the very architecture of consciousness itself. Recent research from Universidad Nacional Autónoma de Mexico has revealed that axolotls can regenerate heart tissue without forming scar tissue, a feat that could revolutionize treatment for human heart disease. Their ability to restore severed spinal cords has made them invaluable to neuroscience, offering hope for paralysis treatment that was once considered pure fantasy. The secret lies partly in their unique genetic makeup. The axolotl genome, fully sequenced only recently, is massive, 10 times larger than the human genome, and packed with genetic instructions for reconstruction. They possess genes that are either dormant or completely absent in other vertebrates, genes that seem specifically designed for the art of rebuilding life. But perhaps more remarkably, they have retained the genetic memory of how to build every part of their body, even in their adult cells. While human adult cells are specialized and locked into their specific roles, axolotl cells maintain a flexibility, a willingness to change and adapt that we associate only with embryonic development. Part 3. The Aquatic Eden of Xochimilco. To understand the axolotl fully, we must journey to its birthplace, its only natural home in all the world, the lake system of Xochimilco, in what is now the southern part of Mexico City. Here, in the remnants of an ancient Aztec lake, the axolotl evolved its extraordinary characteristics over millions of years of perfect isolation. Xochimilco was once part of a vast lake system that dominated the Valley of Mexico. The Aztecs transformed these waters into one of the world's most sophisticated agricultural systems, creating artificial islands called chinampas, floating gardens that fed an empire. The canals between these gardens became highways of commerce and culture, and in their quiet depths, the axolotl thrived. The water here is cool and soft, filtered through volcanic soil and rich with nutrients. The canals are shallow and filled with aquatic vegetation, hornwort, water hyacinth, and native grasses that provide both shelter and hunting grounds. The water moves slowly, carrying the gentle current that axolotls prefer, never rushing, never forcing these delicate creatures to fight against harsh flows. In this aquatic paradise, the axolotl found no need to develop beyond its larval form. There were no seasonal droughts to force adaptation to land, no predators that could only be escaped through terrestrial flight, no environmental pressures that demanded the robust physiology of adult amphibians. Instead, the stable, nurturing environment of Xochimilco rewarded the axolotl for remaining exactly as it was, perfectly adapted to a world that asked nothing more of it than to exist in eternal aquatic bliss. The axolotl's daily life in these waters is one of patient hunting and graceful movement. They are predators, yes, but gentle ones, feeding on worms, crustaceans, insect larvae and small fish. Their hunting style is more ambush than pursuit, relying on their ability to remain motionless among the vegetation, until prey ventures within striking distance. Their senses are exquisitely adapted to this underwater world. They can detect the slightest electrical fields generated by other living creatures, an ability that makes them formidable hunters in the murky waters where vision alone might fail. Their lateral line system, inherited from their fish ancestors, allows them to sense pressure changes in the water, feeling the movement of other creatures as vibrations through their bodies. Yet for all their predatory skill, there is something profoundly peaceful about watching axolotls in their natural habitat. They move with an unhurried grace, their external gills flowing like underwater plants, their lidless eyes surveying their domain with what appears to be ancient wisdom. Part 4. The Laboratory of Life. The axolotl's extraordinary biology has made it one of science's most valuable allies. In laboratories around the world, these creatures are helping unlock some of biology's deepest mysteries, offering insights that could transform medicine and our understanding of life itself. In the field of regenerative medicine, the axolotl has become the gold standard for understanding how complex tissues can be rebuilt after injury. Research published in journals such as Nature and Cell has revealed that axolotls accomplish regeneration through a sophisticated interplay of genetic switches, cellular signaling, and stem cell activation that we are only beginning to understand. Dr. Ellie Tanaka's work at the Research Institute of Molecular Pathology has shown that axolotl limb regeneration involves the creation of a structure called a blastema, essentially a growth zone that recreates the embryonic conditions necessary for organ formation. This process requires the coordinated action of hundreds of genes, many of which have been lost or silenced in mammals over the course of evolution. The implications for human medicine are staggering. If we could understand and harness the axolotl's regenerative pathways, we might be able to treat spinal cord injuries, regenerate damaged heart tissue, or even regrow lost limbs. The axolotl has become a biological Rosetta Stone, helping scientists decode the language of regeneration that nature has written in its genes. Mexican scientists at UNAM, Universidad Nacional Autónoma de Mexico, have been particularly instrumental in axolotl research, not only because of their proximity to the animal's natural habitat, but because they understand the cultural and ecological significance of preserving this remarkable species. Their work has revealed that axolotls possess an unusually stable karyotype. Their chromosomes remain remarkably consistent across generations, making them ideal subjects for genetic research. But the axolotl's contributions to science extend beyond regeneration. Their neoteny has provided crucial insights into developmental biology, helping scientists understand how genetic timing controls the progression from juvenile to adult forms. The discovery that axolotls can be induced to metamorphose into terrestrial forms through hormone treatment has revealed the genetic switches that control this fundamental biological process. In genetics laboratories, axolotls are helping scientists understand everything from cancer research to aging. Their ability to avoid the genetic damage that accumulates in most organisms over time has made them subjects of longevity research. Some laboratory axolotls have lived for over 25 years, maintaining their regenerative abilities throughout their extended lifespans. Part 5. The Shadow of Extinction. Yet for all its biological marvels, for all its contributions to human knowledge and potential medical breakthroughs, the axolotl faces a crisis that threatens to end millions of years of evolutionary success. In their natural habitat of Xochimilco, axolotls are disappearing at an alarming rate, victims of habitat destruction, pollution, and the introduction of invasive species. The International Union for Conservation of Nature lists the axolotl as critically endangered in the wild. Surveys conducted in recent years have found population density so low that some researchers fear the species may already be functionally extinct in its natural habitat, surviving only in the thousands of individuals maintained in laboratories and aquariums around the world. The ancient lake system of Xochimilco has been under assault for centuries. Spanish colonization began the process of draining the lakes, and modern Mexico City's water needs have continued this destruction. What remains of Xochimilco is a shadow of its former glory, a network of canals surrounded by urban sprawl, polluted by agricultural runoff and sewage, invaded by species that have no business in these ancient waters. Perhaps most devastating has been the introduction of invasive fish species, particularly tilapia and carp, which compete with axolotls for food and habitat. These introduced species are more aggressive, more adaptable to polluted conditions, and they reproduce more rapidly than the gentle axolotl. In the face of such competition, the axolotl's evolutionary strategy of patient specialization has become a liability. Research conducted by Mexican biologists has documented dramatic population crashes. In 1998, surveys found an average of 6,000 axolotls per square kilometre in Xochimilco's canals. By 2008, that number had dropped to 100 per square kilometre. The most recent surveys have found density so low that some canals that once teemed with axolotls now contain none at all. The threats are multifaceted and interconnected. Urban development has fragmented the canal system, creating isolated populations too small to maintain genetic diversity. Agricultural chemicals wash into the water from surrounding farmland, disrupting the delicate hormonal systems that control axolotl reproduction. Climate change has altered precipitation patterns, affecting water levels and temperature in ways that stress these highly specialized creatures. But perhaps the most poignant threat comes from the very success of axolotl conservation efforts in laboratories. While thousands of axolotls thrive in research facilities around the world, These captive populations have begun to diverge genetically from their wild ancestors. Laboratory axolotls, bred for ease of care and consistent research results, may no longer be capable of surviving in their natural habitat, even if that habitat could be restored. Conservation efforts led by Mexican researchers and international organizations are racing against time to preserve both the axolotl and its habitat. The Xochimilco Ecological Park and Plant Market has become a focal point for these efforts, working to restore native vegetation, remove invasive species, and create protected areas where axolotls might have a chance to recover. Part 6. Evolutionary Reflections. As we consider the axolotl's extraordinary life cycle, we find ourselves confronting profound questions about the nature of evolution, adaptation, and success. In a world that often equates progress with complexity, growth with improvement, the axolotl offers a different philosophy entirely. Sometimes, evolution's greatest achievement is knowing when to stop. The axolotl's evolutionary strategy challenges our preconceptions about biological development. We are accustomed to thinking of larval stages as incomplete, as stepping stones to the real adult form. But the axolotl suggests that perhaps these juvenile forms are not incomplete at all. Perhaps they are complete in their own right, perfectly adapted to their specific niche, requiring no further development to achieve biological success. This is evolution as editor rather than author, choosing not what to add, but what to leave unchanged. The axolotl's neoteny represents a form of evolutionary conservatism, a decision to preserve and perfect rather than to continuously innovate. In their aquatic world, the axolotl found a form so well suited to its environment that any change would have been a step backward. Their regenerative abilities too represent a different evolutionary philosophy. While most vertebrates evolved to prevent cellular chaos through strict controls on cell division and differentiation, controls that also prevent regeneration, the axolotl chose to maintain the controlled chaos of embryonic development throughout life. They accepted the risks inherent in cellular flexibility in exchange for the ability to rebuild themselves when damaged. The axolotl embodies evolution's capacity for radical solutions to environmental challenges. Faced with a stable aquatic environment, they chose to abandon the standard amphibian life cycle entirely, creating their own unique path through the landscape of possibility. They demonstrate that evolution is not a ladder to be climbed, but a vast space to be explored, with countless solutions to the challenge of survival. Yet their current plight also illustrates evolution's limitations. The very specialization that made them successful in ancient Xochimilco has made them vulnerable to rapid environmental change. Their evolutionary bet on stability has been challenged by a world that changes faster than they can adapt. Perhaps most remarkably, the axolotl has become evolution's gift to consciousness itself. Through their contributions to scientific research, they are helping humans understand and potentially transcend our own biological limitations. The creature that chose to remain forever young may help us unlock the secrets of aging. The animal that perfected regeneration may teach us to rebuild our own damaged tissues. In this way, the axolotl's story becomes more than just another tale of adaptation and survival. It becomes a meditation on the nature of time, growth, and change. It reminds us that sometimes the most profound wisdom lies not in knowing when to grow, but in knowing when growing would diminish rather than enhance what we already are. Part 7. The Future of Wonder. As we look toward the future, the axolotl's story is far from over. In laboratories around the world, scientists are working to decode the genetic secrets that could make regenerative medicine a reality for humans. The axolotl genome, with its vast complexity and regenerative instructions, is being mapped and analyzed with ever-increasing precision. Research teams are developing new techniques for studying axolotl regeneration at the cellular level, using advanced imaging technologies to watch the process of regrowth in real time. They are identifying the specific genes and proteins that control blastema formation, the molecular signals that tell cells when and how to rebuild damaged tissues. Clinical trials are beginning to test therapies inspired by axolotl biology. Researchers are developing techniques to reprogram human cells to behave more like axolotl blastomal cells, potentially allowing us to regenerate damaged tissues. Gene therapy approaches are being designed to activate dormant regenerative pathways in mammals, pathways that were lost over millions of years of evolution, but might be recovered through careful genetic manipulation. The implications extend beyond medicine into our understanding of consciousness itself. As scientists study axolotl brain regeneration, they are uncovering clues about how neural networks rebuild themselves, how memories might be preserved or restored, how consciousness itself might be more resilient than we previously imagined. Meanwhile, conservation efforts continue in Xochimilco and in facilities around the world. Mexican researchers are working to create protected areas where wild axolotls might recover, removing invasive species and restoring native vegetation. Breeding programs are carefully maintaining genetic diversity in captive populations, preserving the biological heritage that millions of years of evolution have created. Educational programs are raising awareness about the axolotl's plight and importance, helping people understand that preserving this species means preserving possibilities for human medicine that we can barely imagine. The axolotl has become an ambassador for conservation, a living example of how protecting biodiversity protects our own future. Perhaps most importantly, the axolotl continues to inspire wonder. In a world that often seems to have catalogued and explained every mystery, here is a creature that still astounds us with its capabilities. The axolotl reminds us that nature still holds secrets we have barely begun to understand, that evolution still has surprises to reveal, that the living world around us is far more miraculous than we often remember to notice. Part 8. The Eternal Child. And so we return to where we began, to the quiet waters of an ancient lake where a remarkable creature glides through its aquatic world, unchanged by time, undaunted by loss, carrying within its cells the secrets of regeneration and renewal. The axolotl's life cycle, if we can call it a cycle when it seems more like a gentle, eternal curve, offers us a different way of thinking about existence itself. In choosing to remain forever young, the axolotl has discovered something that humans have sought throughout history: the secret of transcending time not by racing ahead of it, but by stepping gracefully outside its usual rules. In their external gills we see beauty in functionality, elegance in adaptation. In their regenerative powers we glimpse possibilities for healing that could transform human medicine. In their neoteny we find a reminder that maturity need not mean abandoning the wonder and flexibility of youth. The axolotl teaches us that evolution is not always about becoming something new, but sometimes about perfecting something that already works beautifully. They show us that in nature, as in life, the most profound solutions are often the simplest ones, finding your perfect niche and having the wisdom to stay there. As long as axolotls exist, in the canals of Xochimilco, in laboratories around the world, in the research that will grow from their remarkable biology, they will continue to embody one of nature's most hopeful messages: that damage need not be permanent, that loss can be restored, that the seemingly impossible might simply be a problem we haven't yet learned to solve. In the end, the axolotl's greatest gift may not be its regenerative abilities or its contributions to science, but its reminder that wonder still exists in our world, that creatures of impossible beauty and capability still glide through ancient waters, still carry secrets in their cells, still offer hope for futures we can barely imagine. The axolotl, forever young, forever mysterious, forever showing us that the most extraordinary life cycles are sometimes the ones that choose not to cycle at all, but to find perfection in a single, eternal moment of aquatic grace.